Chris, while you were at MTV, you oversaw and helped develop and produce many of MTV's biggest hits. One such, The Jersey Shore.
I'm sorry.
But why unconventional potential projects like The Jersey Shore, when they come to you and others, that you and other network executives receive pushback, but when it succeeds, everyone jumps aboard like a herd mentality? My point is, Breaking Bad, Mad Men, Desperate Housewives, there's so many stories of shows that were shot for years and years and years, and they received no as the answer until one Chris Linn, one Courtney, one Brad finally said yes. Why do most of these great ideas initially receive pushback? And then everybody jumps on board and they say, oh, I want to do that too. Herd mentality.
Look, I think it's all about timing, right? And is the timing right for something to take hold? I mean, Jersey Shore is you can't really put in the same category as Breaking Bad and all these other shows, but Jersey Shore is a great example, and it also speaks to what you're saying before about how something becomes a hit. Jersey Shore was initially a show developed at VH1 called Guido House.
Oh boy.
Which was a competition elimination show. So this is like 2000 and...
Wasn't it like an E or something even before that?
It might have been. Who knows where.
It.
But it was developed at VH1 as a competition elimination show, right? And that was the time when those were really popular. And then they passed on it. But Brian Graydon, who at the time oversaw all the channels at Viacom, said, there's something about this cast. I've never seen people like this before. There's something here, and they came to MTV. And we looked at the cast, and they were like nothing you'd ever seen before. And we had done 2 True Life specials that took place at the Jersey Shore. So we knew that they had been extremely successful. So we knew that there was an audience connection to that idea of going to the shore and sort of living a summer with no consequences, right? And there was something unique about this cast. So what we said was, let's real world it. Let's just take that. Let's not have this elimination format. Let's just take the cast. We added a couple of new characters to it. Let's just put them in the house and see what happens. Do it old school reality style. We're not going to produce it. We're not going to produce stories because, as you know, reality shows are not real. We're going to just put them there and see what happens. And nobody wanted to touch the show because at the time, MTV was trying to become a more aspirational brand, right? They wanted to get away from the louder, salacious things. And that's how I ended up being involved in the show, is because a lot of the other development executives were focusing on this new aspirational brand.
The Buried Life.
The Buried Life, yes. And so, because there was no, and the show was meant, we thought we were only going to maybe air a few episodes. It was to get like a quick pop in the ratings at the end of the year, and we didn't even know if we'd air all of them. Because there was no expectation that this was going to be a hit, and some people were even sort of embarrassed to be associated with it, it had the chance to become the best version of itself, because there were no expectations on it. Had we needed this to be a juggernaut hit, you start thinking differently. You start second-guessing decisions. We let it become what it was, and what I would say is, the producer knows well, the woman who produces it, knows how to get the crazy, over-the-top, salacious stuff. What I think I have always loved is comedy, and what I saw in it was the comedy. And so we actually fought and struggled a lot to find a balance between the big loud moments and the comedy. When they started, there was an episode where Ronnie was like telling Sammy, you were going to be a part of the equation. You don't understand. You were going to be part of it. They just spoke in ways you never heard before. And we were just like, this is hilarious. Have you seen this? And so, again, because there weren't expectations and because that allowed it to become what it was. And it came on the air at a time, we were in the middle of the recession, and people needed escapism. And here were young people having an all expenses paid summer free of any consequences at all. And so it struck a nerve, and people connected to it, and it looked like nothing else. The open title sequence and the music and all that stuff, it felt fresh. And so, and all of a sudden I was reading in the Wall Street Journal about the Snooki Punch and things. People were adopting things from the show, and it just ignited. But it's because it wasn't expected to be a hit, and because it fulfilled a need at that time.
Well,
There was also a little special, there was also a lot of heart. Like they still sat around a table and ate together.
Yeah.
Like there was that part of it too.
They were
that kinda
family,
goes
they
a
did
little-
care about each
That's
other, they
right.
just were not mature enough yet to understand how to
Yeah.
act like adults, and which, by the way, is relatable.
Yeah.
Particularly to young people who are trying to figure out their first relationships and how to get along with each other, and everyone loves a cautionary tale. To see other people screw up and be like, I would never be like that. They're a mess, right? And like you've never been face down at the beach. But
And I think there is something to the authenticity of people like that and content like that. You know when you're watching something that's genuine, and viewers are very savvy, especially now. You know when you're watching something that's derivative. And the content that does break through now, I think Killing Eve is a great example, felt like nothing you had seen before, with characters you hadn't seen before, a tone, a genre you can't quite describe. The music, the costumes, like everything about the show was different.
The location.
Locations, the font, and I think over the next, few years, we'll probably see some shows that look like Killing Eve
Oh, sure.
because
Everybody copies immediately.
Yeah.
But what do each of